The best and the brightest now. College admission letters are being sent out this month, and students are having to make a decision by the end of the month about where to go. Jerry Bowen is about to explore a unique possibility.
It's nearing daybreak at Deep Springs Ranch. And John Mangan, the feed man, is on his early run.
In working alone, it's when I think the most. Like when I'll be driving to my morning feed run. Maybe there's a little snow on the mountains or something, and the sunrise is pink or purple, and that's when it most often strikes me how glad I am to be here.
Welcome to Deep Springs. Not your average ranch, because it's actually a college. A liberal arts college with America's largest campus. 80 square miles of high desert, halfway between Death Valley and Yosemite National Park. And the smallest student body, 26 young men who walked away from scholarships to Harvard, Stanford, and other blue ribbon schools to come to the middle of nowhere for 2 years.
Everybody thought I was a little crazy for deciding to come here.
Crazy?
Yeah. It's very hard to understand this place, I think, from the outside.
At his New Jersey high school, Dmitry Masterov was considered brilliant. At Deep Springs, he discovered he's just one more near genius with a job to do.
For the first couple of weeks, it was sort of this intellectual wrestling match where everybody tried to outdo each other. It is definitely very humbling to be among a lot of these people. I guess all of them are brilliant in many ways.
Deep Springs College was the dream of a turn-of-the-century multimillionaire industrialist by the name of L.L. Nunn. Nunn believed that only a select few ran American society and government, and he wanted to give these leaders of tomorrow an extraordinary education, an education that would train them to go out and do good works.
He believed that the universe was organized by a moral force, and his task and the task of his students was to somehow get themselves in concert with this.
Jack Newell studied and taught here. Now he's the college president.
The responsibility was not only to their own academic work and to running the ranch and the community here, but it was a responsibility that they carried as a kind of onus the rest of their life to improve the society of which they're a part. The idea was you have a responsibility to make it better.
So how do you attract the academic cream of the crop to such a remote setting? First, you offer them a high-quality, completely free education. Second, you let them run the place. At Deep Springs, the students select the courses and the professors who teach them. Angela Means, an expert in international law, is between teaching posts at Dartmouth and Harvard.
You see the sort of rigor and real attention that goes into picking the faculty members. The students are not being arbitrary at all. They really hire the people that they want to teach them.
The students also choose their incoming classmates, a dozen newcomers taken from the top 5% of high school students nationwide. Francis Wolf is one of the gatekeepers, deciding who gets a $40,000 annual scholarship and who doesn't.
What are the qualities that just won't pass?
Laziness and arrogance to the point of just not being able to get along with the person. And then just psychological instability. If it really seems like this guy's not gonna make it psychologically, because Deep Springs is pretty rough.
Compared to other colleges, Deep Springs is rough and intense. Its rules are strict. No alcohol, no drugs, no TV, and no women. Founder L.L. Nunn didn't want a co-ed campus.
Why not girls?
The most common way of justifying single sex is the fact that having women around is distracting, and it takes a lot of energy away from studies and from concentrating on other things.
And there's one more rule: no leaving campus.
We're isolated from the rest of the world in a lot of ways, but we're really not isolated from people.
Tim Rutan is from Oregon.
But at Deep Springs, you constantly have to interact with people, and you constantly have to deal with people whether or not you get along with them, and you're really not isolated because you have to find a way to make everything work.
Mornings at Deep Springs are devoted to classes. Afternoons are for labor. Jobs range from providing child care for teachers to riding the range. Jeff Pope has been the ranch manager for 15 years.
Sweep around this way, all the way around, and push the cattle down and be crossed.
They're very, very sharp at figuring things out on a theoretical basis, but it's not always easy for them to approach practical problems in a common sense way. When the labor program here is really working right, we are able to really develop a sense of common sense and confidence in their own ability to approach problems.
It's not uncommon for students to feel consumed by it all. The work, the studying, the running of the place. Zach Miter is the student cowboy.
There's a feeling here that whenever you're awake, you ought to be doing something. And when you're asleep, you feel like you should be awake.
It's easy to forget, amid the hard work and rhetoric, that these students are still teenagers.
This is a leg room, I believe, really, because there's a leg somewhere in the room, right there, mannequin's leg.
Most are away from home for the first time and living like it, searching for truth, knowledge, and mannequin legs in the clutter of dorm rooms. What gradually emerges over time and the meal table is a sense of community. A small-town atmosphere where the weekly student body meeting becomes another test of Deep Springs democracy.
To keep maintaining an inculcated canine of unspecified breed at Deep Springs, the dog will be stored under reasonable standards.
The dogs that live here don't do so well because we don't live the
No
kind of
issue
lifestyle.
is too large or small for this small body politic.
To prevent constant yapping, and then we just have fun with the dog.
15 to 2 to 7, Nathan gets a dog.
All right, how many people here feel that it is...
So, has Deep Springs College lived up to the dream of its founder? In some ways, the answer is an emphatic yes. Nearly 60% of the students have gone on to earn doctoral degrees at some of this nation's most exclusive colleges and universities. 60%. Many Deep Springers have gone on to carry the torch for public service in the fields of education, medicine, politics, and law. In old class photos are the faces of future MacArthur Fellows, ambassadors, and one CBS News foreign correspondent, the legendary Charles Collingwood. There are also some, as the story goes, who drive out the main road, never to be heard from again. Where is the current class headed? There's no telling, really, but there are clues.
Nunn did say many times that the purpose of Deep Springs is to work in the service of humanity for the rest of your life. And I believe in that. Deep Springs brings that demand into focus every day.
No, it's not your average ranch, and not your typical college either. Deep Springs is a place of vast open spaces, a place with room enough to think.